podcast series, which focuses on redefining medical affairs, evidence management, digitization, and AI. Today, we have Rahul Mittal from Dr. Reddy, who has over 15 years of experience in strategy and consulting with various large firms. And currently, Rahul is working at Dr. Reddy as a head of strategy and innovation. So, Rahul, welcome to the podcast and let's hear more. And can you introduce yourself?
Sure, Sanjeev. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast. To your viewers, hello, I'm Rahul Mittal. I'm the head of strategy and innovation for Dr. Reddy's in North America. Have been with Dr. Reddy's for about 4 years, have been the head of strategy for the emerging markets business as well, which includes about 47 countries from Australia, China, Russia, CIS markets, Africa, and LATAM. So very well versed with the global pharmaceutical industry across markets and have about 10 years of consulting with KPMG and IQVIA before.
Fantastic. Rahul, great to have you on our podcast. Quick question. You bringing a very true global view here to our viewers. So you led the strategy innovations across the diverse market and portfolios, right?
Right, that's correct.
So I wanted to hear your perspective typically on digital transformation and nowadays the digital data AI, how it's reshaping the entire pharma industry globally, and where in North America you're leading or lagging. Your perspective, we want to hear that.
Absolutely. Before we start on this question, we should pause and reflect what digital transformation actually is. So, digital transformation, in my view, is if you can build a better process, you can do an existing process much better with many of the digitally available technologies out there. So once you do that, you do what we call as digital process improvement leading to transformation. When we look at the pharmaceutical/life sciences industry and observe the value chain quite clearly, and I'll just lay out the value chain for the viewers. So it could be, say, drug discovery and development, followed by clinical trials, followed by, say, IP/drug approval, then supply chain/shipment of the product. And once the product has reached, then the entire customer GTM, where we're looking at the patients, we're finding our go-to market, and then innovative products which are built on top of the GTM. So if you look at these 6 or 7 levers which are there across the value chain, I think AI and digital technologies are transforming each and every process uniquely and independently. So with respect to drug discovery and development, what we observe is AI and machine learning are revolutionizing drug discovery by analyzing massive data sets. They're identifying many more potential drug candidates than before. And they're also able to identify drug interactions with extreme high accuracy. Predictive modeling and analytics is now allowing researchers to virtually test millions of compounds. And while this is about new drugs, AI can also help in drug repurposing so that we find new use for existing drugs. And I was in the Reuters conference in March of 25, about a few months back. Kind of saw this live in action where I saw a Japanese firm where you could build up a molecule and it could run through database very frequently and it could find out, hey, this molecule or this compound would not work in these kind of patients, or it would fail these kind of researches in the past. So it will give you a very holistic view of what could work or what will not work. So the entire process can be accelerated. That's also very exciting for someone in the industry. Then the next step is clinical trials. Here, I think digital tools are making this process very efficient and patient-centric. We can use computer simulations to replace human subjects, and real-world data from EHR, EMRs, wearable devices can provide valuable insights in terms of how to identify patients and predict outcomes. And AI-driven platforms like Deep6 AI are improving patient recruitment, and cloud computing enables real-time data analysis, which reduces manual errors and expedites decision-making. Within manufacturing and supply chain, which is the third leg we talked about, this offers digital technologies. Many of them offer increased visibility, flexibility, and control over the processes and the supply chain. We are seeing the production can be streamlined. We have much better quality controls. We have real-time monitoring of critical conditions for many of the injectables and biosimilars, which we have through IoT sensors. Blockchain is enhanced transparency and traceability to help counterfeit drugs, especially for the more expensive injectables. And they also help us comply with the Drug Supply Chain Security Act. Then when we look at AI and digital technologies, when we look at our GTM strategies, For the MSLs, for the sales reps, I think one big help which these technologies have brought about is to help better understand doctors, help to segment them better, help to understand what their unmet needs are, and to take those insights, galvanize them, or put them in a Salesforce CRM product to bring real insights so that you can have better segmentation, targeting, and communication of messages. In terms of new development, which is still a new concept, is about personalized medicine, how digital transformation can shift towards personalized medicine, which is tailored to individual patient profiles, using AI and bioinformatics to analyze their genomic data and to predict their drug response. And hopefully in the future, with 3D printing technology combined with AI, could enable on-demand manufacturing of personalized drugs. Wow. Yeah, so that's exciting. And then we should also think about digital therapeutics, how we have apps which are actually and actively replacing drugs. And while a lot of success we observe are in two therapeutic areas, which is largely diabetes, where we have a continuous glucose monitoring device, and then you can match your body's response to various foods, and you can integrate appropriate exercise, and you can actually manage and control diabetes. And there are companies which have done very well in orthopedic and pain, where you can simulate the right movements, such as Hinge Health, etc. So I think these are some of these innovations which are happening, while clearly not exhaustive, but I think this is a flavor of how the world is evolving and changing with some of these AI and emerging technologies in digital health.
Rahul, very interestingly for the viewers, you gave from the R&D to clinical to manufacturing to commercializations and then digital health. The underlying theme you mentioned, there is an explosion of data, an increase of richness of information across this value chain. And each functions is adopting in different ways. So in your experience across both developed countries and emerging markets, how do you see data, AI adoption challenges differs?
Okay, great question, Sanjeev. So first I'll talk about the common challenges. For AI and digital health models to work, the underlying data set has to be, as they say, clean. And when I say clean, it has to be the right data elements in each and every. To think in terms of an Excel spreadsheet, every cell must be populated. It must be longitudinal. It should have time series, and getting that data using historical ways of capturing data, like many prescriptions were pen and paper, EHRs are not interoperable in the developed market. So getting that data set itself is a huge, huge challenge. So data quality and availability is poor across both these markets because it's fragmented and many times it's incomplete, which renders the AI algorithms to be ineffective and requires significant amount of effort for data consolidation and cleaning. We see lack of interoperability due to lack of standardized data formats across many systems. So I've worked in emerging markets where there is data privacy and security related concerns, which requires robust systems and clear policies. There are questions around ethical considerations and trust, which are more generic in nature. Then any AI system would have an algorithmic bias. And what I mean by that is there could be huge variability. The smaller representations could be discounted, as well as the larger outputs could have a greater amplitude. So therefore, distorting the overall output and the signal to noise ratio could change. So therefore, the model needs to be revalidated again and again, for which you require huge amount of technical skills. And we need skilled professionals with the expertise of data science, AI, and at the same time, life sciences / healthcare being such a complex area in itself. You will also need people who are also skilled in life sciences and healthcare. So therefore, trained skilled manpower in the core technical knowledge is critical, which is still under development. And what we see is the regulatory compliance issues, the workforce adaptation to this process, and there is a strong resistance to change, which requires more training and support. So many of these challenges are with respect to AI, digital health, and the technologies which are common to both the developed and emerging markets, though the ratio might be different in each of these kind of segments. When I speak challenges which are specific to emerging markets, there are 3 or 4 things which come to my mind. One, there is inadequate infrastructure. There is limited access to internet, unreliable power supply, which has hurdles to digital health and AI adoption. There are resource constraints. The financial resources can impede investment in technology, infra, and training. The digital access is quite uneven. So there are disparities in digital literacy and access to technology. the implementation capacity is not enough. So there are insufficient policies, the governance structures, and the skilled personnel hinder the practical application of digital health innovation. And then the investment priorities in many of these countries are quite different. The policymakers or the governments face crucial tasks of looking at more fundamental issues, which are, say, how do we prevent communicable diseases, or how do we invest in, say, building primary healthcare centers, or how do we manage more core the requirements of the country, therefore taking investments away from new end tools. And then when we look at the opportunities, so the opportunities could be great for emerging markets. It could help close the digital divide. It could empower rural healthcare workers. It can create more equitable healthcare environment. AI and digital tools can upskill workers quite quickly. So both in terms of access and affordability, you can create greater access to care. You can skill people. You can put these technologies. You can do remote monitoring. You can have better analysis of diagnostic tests. You can do population health analysis. You can streamline hospital management and also making healthcare more affordable, especially if there's a lack of insurance environment. What we also see is emerging markets are the hub of innovation. When we look at, say, India, China, Mexico, Brazil, many of these startups are working in very different environments where there is little payer coverage or the payer coverage is not comprehensive. And there are a multitude of startups which have come up because the patient needs are unique in each of those markets. And once a product can scale up in an emerging market kind of a setup, it's easier to scale up. I mean, the use case could be replicated in a developed market. It's not there. So I think frugality leads to innovation as well. So I think that's a big learning from the emerging markets. I think this is what I feel about the emerging market.
Rahul, you're absolutely right. To navigate this increasingly complex landscape of accelerating drug development with data or shifting regulatory expectations with the underlying data, growing demands for real world evidences, right? So, data has become a strategic asset rather than an operational tool, okay? And I mean, you've been overseeing the high priority CEO led initiatives, right? So, I really would love to hear your perspective of what role data driven decision making is playing at executive levels today and how it's going to change in the leadership conversation within the pharma industry.
Oh, yeah. Over the last 10 to 15 years since I've been working, I see there is so much of data and now there is so much we can do. So clearly we can see we have impromptu dashboards, we have got AI chatbots, internal AI chatbots, which kind of throw out insights. It is making everything more agile. Decision making is becoming more prompt rather than being reactive. So we are being more proactive. We can identify trends and patterns more quickly. And as they say, what gets measured gets managed. However, before we kind of look at these spreadsheets and these insights which come out, the more core questions which I ask my team as well when we work on strategy is what is the decision framework in which we are analyzing the data? And what I mean is ask what is the exam question? What is the right question? What is it that we're trying to answer? And when we build a hypothesis based approach in terms of what is the hypothesis we are trying to prove or disprove, and we make a decision framework analysis, what it helps us doing is analysis paralysis. We don't end up doing all kind of analysis. We just focus on the big questions. We try to answer what are we trying to solve? What will this lead to? What is the second order and third order implication if we get to a decision? What will it take to get executed? Is it actually doable? So there are multiple things which we've integrated so that it is not about only getting data-driven insights. It's about knowing what you want and then using data to your advantage to ensure you get the right output.
Yeah.
And this also joins with the first point. When you look at large data sets, you need to know where the application is happening in the data, where the wrong data might be discounted, where, the bigger representation in the data does not get over amplified, leading to false decision making. So there are caveats to work around it. But the question stays, data-driven decision making is a core part of leadership. It will become more tightly integrated, but successful leaders will follow a very nuanced approach. They will go top down rather than bottom up.
Yeah. So, Rahul, one more question in the same context. As the industry is moving beyond the traditional ways of clinical trial and drug approval, right? Even after drug
Yeah.
is approved, is a growing momentum around integrated real world evidence sources, right? The convergence of AI and digital health is opening up new possibilities of, I would say, understand the patient journey, the treatment responses, unmet needs. Given your background and a strategic job profile, with your background, how do you see the future of evidence generation is evolving, and can AI truly unlock the new dimension for patient-centric insight?
Yeah, I think in this effect, where AI can really help is in the field of RWE. One is we can get a patient-centric insights. We can understand how treatments are performing in real settings. We can account for wider range of patients and comorbidities and treatment patterns with respect to traditional trials. We can capture data from more sources of information, such as wearables, apps, remote monitoring, which can offer a better view of the patient journey. We can identify better subpopulations for treatment, and we marry them with the bioinformatics, the genomic data. And what we are seeing is we can identify where a drug would work for a specific set of patients, maybe from a specific ethnicity or a race or a certain kind of, say, physiological profile. So I think RWE can provide deeper insights into all of this. Therefore, it can help accelerate drug development by providing more accurate real-time assessments of clinical treatment and safety. And with the RWE, if I complete the feedback loop, it can assist in identifying potential clinical trial candidates from larger databases, and it can help generate rapid insights. Even in an RWE, if there are adverse events or something like that which happens, I think the entire feedback cycle could become much more accelerated, leading to better drug discovery, better focus on drug development, at the same time communication to the patients. So that's the way I see AI impacting real world evidence.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Rahul, looking ahead, what excites you the most about the intersection of AI, digital health, and life sciences over the next 3 to 5 years? Would love to hear your perspective on
So there are three things, if you allow me to talk about, which are the most exciting to me. So
that.
the first one would be, and I'll say in order of priority, one is clearly drug discovery. Clearly, because the sheer number of molecules which can go through the funnel and we can analyze them. As we understand, the number of drugs has not been increasing that rapidly in the last 5 to 10 years. What we understand is we are looking solutions for rare diseases and some of these
Absolutely.
new diseases which are coming up. So I think if we can repurpose existing molecules, or if we have a process to quickly filter out molecules, or to get existing molecules to market earlier, that will be a great boon for patients for meeting their unmet needs. So in order of priority, that would rank one. Rank two in terms of priority would be digital therapeutics. Reason being, while majority of the success of digital therapeutics has largely been, as we said, in diabetes, but I think it can be extended, especially to CNS patients. Anything which impacts a patient psychology or, say, mental well-being, there can be apps which can be built, which can solve the problems without drugs, which can again improve access to care. And this can subsequently be extended to build better habits and also solve for many diseases which have comorbid conditions. And lastly, which is a moonshot, which is still far away, would be personalized medicine, where a person's unique genomic slash bioinformatic information could be used to create drugs which are unique to him or her, because then it would be the perfect secret sauce which we'll unlock.
Rahul, thank you so much. It is great to have you on our podcast, and thank you for participating and giving your perspective on how this company is redefining their digital
Yes,
strategies, your perspective on emerging market, developed markets, and also about Gen AI and its impactful strategy across the value chain of pharma. So thank you. And Avira Digital can partner, on Gen AI or medical affairs related areas or evidence planning, measuring the impact of evidences and analytics. Happy to partner with the large.
absolutely, Sanjeev. I've gone through your website. I've had a discussion with you previously. I'm very impressed with the work Avira Digital has done so far.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you for having me on the podcast. I really enjoyed my time here.
Thank
And I
you.
hope the listeners will find it productive and useful.
Thank you, sir. Bye.